Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show. MS&Me Radio proudly presents a new show, Modern Day MS. The host of the show is the founder of ModernDayMS.com, Beth Prostowski. In this premiere episode, Beth will share with you some of her personal MS journey. We hope you enjoy this dynamic show each week. Take it away, Beth.
Hi, welcome to my MS radio show, Modern Day MS. This is Beth Prostowski, and I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity to speak with you guys all. And because this is my first podcast, I wanted to give you a little bit of introduction about me. So I am 40 years old. I was diagnosed 5 years ago, right after my 35th birthday. I woke up one morning and my right hand and my right foot were numb. And I was like, there's something wrong with me. So that whole weekend, I did everything I possibly do. I did yoga, I did massage, took a hot bath, I did a heating pad, I laid in bed, everything, and it didn't change. Of course, I went to my friend Google, and I Googled numb hand and numb foot, and multiple sclerosis came right up. I said to my husband, I have MS, and he's like, come on, but I did. So what happened was that Monday, I called my doctor and went in, and actually she wasn't available, so I had a different doctor, and he sent me for an MRI that night. So then that night I went for my MRI, and actually, to be honest, that was the scariest part for me, being in that enclosed space. That was what really did not make me happy. I wasn't as scared about the MS as I was about the MRI. The next day, the doctor called and said, you have MS. Go to the hospital, admit yourself, and go on 5 days of steroids. It was just that easy. But I actually felt a relief, because he said, you'll go to the hospital, get steroids, and then you'll be all better. So I was like, okay, I know I am numb. I have multiple sclerosis, and I'll go to the hospital and I'll be all better. The steroids did help the numbness go away. And I had a little bit of a drop foot, which I didn't know at the time was called a drop foot, kind of dragging my right foot behind. And that did go away, and I did feel better, but I was never the same as I was before that diagnosis. Of course, looking back, I realized that summer prior, I remember being really tired, like in the sun. I would spend the day in the sun with my kids, and then I would come back and just be so fatigued, tired. And putting it back, I realized that I had it before I got diagnosed. So continuing on with my story, since I was a mom of 2 little kids, I was a yoga teacher, I was a busy person, I was like, I'm not going to let this, I can't, lay in bed for the rest of my life. So within 2 weeks of that diagnosis, I was back teaching yoga, and I was feeling pretty good, I would say. I mean, still tired, a lot of anxiety, not as much about the disease, I just felt really tense and irritable and all that. And then I found a neurologist, and the neurologist said, this new drug, Gilenya, has come out. You should take that. I should backtrack a minute and say that the first neurologist that I went to recommended Copaxone, and I was like, I do not want to do shots. I was really worried about that as well. And then the bedside manner of that first neurologist really just turned me off. She basically just sat at her computer typing the whole time. She didn't make eye contact. I just didn't have a good feeling about her. So then I went to another doctor at a different hospital who was great. And he said, you're young, you're healthy, you should be on Gilenya, which is an oral pill. So before I went on Gilenya, I had to do all these tests like an EKG, an eye exam, because there's a lot of side effects for Gilenya. Luckily, I passed them all. And I've been on Gilenya for, I would say, close to 5 years now. And I haven't had any problems. And I think my MRIs look good, although I don't know. I don't have the best luck with my MRIs. The last time I got them done at a different hospital, and then I went to the other hospital that were supposed to be connected, and the doctor couldn't see it. So that was definitely frustrating and probably a story for another day. So after my diagnosis, when I was in the hospital, basically my family and myself and my husband, we did the same thing as we went to Google and type in multiple sclerosis. And what do you see? All this negativity. Basically, it's like made me feel like I was going to end up in a wheelchair. I was going to have no quality of life. And then my husband, who is in the medical community, said to me, if there's any time to be diagnosed, or someone might have said this to him, if there's any time to be diagnosed, this is the time, because there's so much research and so much progress nowadays that there may be a cure in our lifetime or at least our children's lifetime. So that made me feel a little bit hopeful. And, people, when I saw people, they'd give me all these sad eyes and like, oh, and I was like, you know what? MS is not that disease, that Richard Pryor had, that, what sometimes when you hear MS, you think kind of like old fashioned, how it was years ago. But so much has happened since then. So I wanted to create a modern website. So I created Modern Day MS, which is a positive place for people to go to learn about the disease, learn about the new research and the treatments. And it has been just such a labor of love. It's definitely a lot of hard work, but it's really introduced me to people all over the world. Interesting, smart, kind, accomplished, fun, all these great people from around the world that have MS. And yes, it's hard to live with MS, but they're still living and having a good life. So it's really been just a wonderful opportunity. So I had mentioned that I'm a yoga teacher, and I was a yoga teacher pre-diagnosis. And I find that kind of ironic because yoga is so helpful for me. It was definitely healing for me before my diagnosis, but afterwards, I don't know that I would be who I am or where I am today without yoga. So I wanted to talk through the yoga a little bit with you today and explain to you how it's not just the poses. I mean, some days you don't want to do the poses, and just sitting in your bed and breathing is considered yoga. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit. Wherever you are right now, you could just sit quietly and maybe try to lift your heart, sit a little bit tall. If you could sit up, that would be good. And then just breathe in through your nose. Close your eyes and inhale through your nose slowly. Pause at the top and then exhale through your nose slowly. And continuing this rotation, breathing in and breathing out, but not rushing it, and noticing that the more you focus on your breath, the less clutter there is in your mind. It's hard to really focus on breathing and then also focus on your to-do list or your worries or anything else. So that's just a way to clear the mind. And then there's all these qualities that I apply on my yoga mat, like balance, for example. Balance is the literal balance, like a balance pose, like tree pose, is challenging and important to work on, because with MS, I definitely feel like my balance is off. So those poses are really important to just strengthen myself and work on actually the physical act of balancing. But balance is a lot more than just the physical aspect. It's, our life. So when I'm in these poses and I'm breathing and I'm doing my best to to balance physically, I'm also noticing that when I really focus, when I just focus on one thing, when I breathe, when I do all that, then I'm able to balance not only physically, but also my life. So it's kind of a metaphor that I learn on my mat and then I apply to my real life. When I'm overwhelmed with my kids, I have to take them all somewhere, each someplace else at the same time. I just come back to my yoga and know I can do it. I just got to slow down, breathe, focus. And then another thing that yoga teaches me is about strength and courage. So when you're practicing yoga, you feel strong, even if you're modifying all the poses. I mean, if you're having a disability that you can't do certain poses, you could still get on your mat and do what you can. There's lots of props. If you can't touch your toes, you could put blocks, and there's blankets you could lay on. So it's one of the most common things people say to me. I'm not good at yoga. I'm not flexible. Anybody could do yoga. Anybody. Any age, any size, any illness, you could all do yoga. So the strength and the courage aspect is really important to me because I just feel that when I'm on my mat, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this pose. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm strong enough. I don't think I can do it, but I'm going to try it. And sometimes I fall. And sometimes I attempt it, sometimes, but then again, I apply that to my real life. You know what? It's okay if I fall. I just get back up. Nobody cares. It's okay if I can't do something. I'm going to try. And so again, it's the physical strength, and then I apply it back to my life. And there's also the sense of gratitude that is very practiced and important in the yoga practice. And especially this time of year with, the Thanksgiving and the holidays, I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm able to breathe. I'm able to do yoga in some form. And then I get outside of my practice and I realize, yes, I have MS. That sucks. We all know that. But what else do I have? I have my family. I'm lucky that I have insurance. I'm lucky that I have a doctor that hopefully, is helping me. So you look for the good instead of the bad. And I just feel that positivity is very important with MS. I see it, and, working at Modern Day MS, I meet so many people and I see it. It's hard to go to work some days when you have MS. So then you can't go to work, you can't make money, then you can't pay your bills, then you get depressed, then, it's a whole downward spiral. So if you try to be positive, and obviously, our surroundings and our situations all differ, it's a better you. We know that the negativity, the darkness, just all you want to do when you're in that space is, lay in bed, or at least that's what I want to do when I'm in that space. But then I come to this space of positivity, and that's where you see the lightness. And I see the sun, and I maybe encourage myself to go outside, go for a walk around the block. And I always feel better when I move. But the thing about MS that I see is I don't want to move a lot. I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go here. I don't want to exercise. But once I do it, most of the time I'm glad I did. So I think that the positivity is something that I find in yoga and I apply to my life. So as these podcasts continue, I will definitely be delving deeper into the topic of yoga, sharing some poses with you. I have a couple of writers, or one in specific who writes for my website, who is a yoga teacher as well. So I think having an interview with her will be really helpful and informative. And then other topics that I want to discuss, definitely MS and diet. I've tried a bunch of different diets over the years since I was diagnosed. First, right away, I went to a holistic doctor who said that I should eliminate dairy. So I completely eliminated dairy, which was really hard because, it's in it. Like butter is included in dairy. It was impossible to go out for dinner. So it was very challenging, and I did not feel any better. I felt really hungry all the time. I still would eat stuff that was just like, it wasn't good. I don't know. The dairy thing, it didn't work for me. I know that I I don't eat a ton of dairy now. Like, for example, I've now put coconut milk in my coffee, but I will have pizza occasionally. So I guess my theory on that is everything in moderation, because I didn't notice a difference. If I did notice a difference, I would stop it in a minute. I've tried gluten-free diets and haven't noticed a difference. And again, I find it really hard and stressful, especially, for example, like if you're going to someone's house for the holidays and then you're like, hi, I don't eat dairy. I don't want to be that person. I like to kind of be quiet and not cause a scene. And then other diets, the Walls diet, I've read that book and I am very interested in it. It seems stressful to me. It seems like a lot of work. And how do I feed my family and then feed myself as well? I know it's possible. I haven't gotten there yet. So I guess I'm pretty much like, my ideal eating habits would include protein and vegetables, because I know that's what's best for me. But obviously that doesn't always happen. And then there's certain foods that cause inflammation that I try to eliminate. I think probably I drink wine, and I think probably that's not the best for me. But then again, I'm like, it's fun to have a glass of wine. So that's something else that I want to explore as we move through these podcasts. Another topic that I want to talk about, and again, I'm hoping to have some interviews, which I think will be really interesting, is relationships. So my husband and I have talked about this a lot. If you go online, you could read a lot of marriages break up over MS. It's hard. Not only is it hard for me to live with this disease, but I'm sure it is not easy for my husband at all. Of course, I'm lucky to have a super thoughtful, kind, supportive husband, but it's hard because he doesn't know what's going on. This is an invisible disease, which is another topic which I think would be really interesting. To him, I look great. He doesn't know when he gets home from work that I'm exhausted, that it's like such a struggle to get dinner made and deal with the kids and everything. So I need to communicate. Communication is really the key. I need to say, I'm tired, because he can't read my mind. So that is something that I think would be interesting. Another one of my writers at Modern Day MS had said, single with MS is another interesting topic that she wants me to discuss, because for her, she feels like, who's going to take care of her? And that's real scary. Thinking of the future, what's going to happen in the future? Who's going to take care of her? What if she's sick and she can't work? And then, how is she going to afford to live? And there's a lot of other subjects with that. And then parenting with MS is another topic that I'm very interested in. I plan to speak about in the future. As you know, and I've mentioned a bunch, I have 2 kids, and I do believe that I'm always pretty open and honest with them. And again, it's an invisible disease. They're like, my mom looks fine to me. I don't know. They don't know other moms, that have a lot more energy and are moving around all day and don't have to stop and rest. But I do believe that it gives them empathy. They're somewhat sometimes sympathetic to me. They know that people get sick, and sadly, they know that it is, definitely affected their life in ways. And that makes me sad, but I'm really open about it. I don't like to, I know some people say my kids know nothing about it, but I've never been like that with my kids. I've always been very open, and hopefully that works in my favor. One of my huge concerns is MS genetic? I worry about that a lot. I've told my kids' doctors that I have MS, and they just kind of shrugged it off. But I worry definitely, like, what will my kids be diagnosed? And I hope not. I also hope that the future of MS is different. There's talks of a vaccine to prevent MS or earlier detection. And hopefully my kids will not have to experience this. So those are some of the topics that I hope to cover throughout my weekly radio show. But I definitely want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you want to listen to. Do you want me to talk more about yoga, about exercise, about diet, about parenting, about relationships? I like to know what people want to hear because I don't want to obviously just be talking to myself. But I think that this community, this sense of honesty is just very crucial. And as I said, especially this time of year, now that it's coming on winter and it gets dark at 4 o'clock, this is definitely a harder time of year for me than summer. Because I just feel like I don't want to leave the house after 4 o'clock when it's dark and it's cold and it just, gray. And so if we're all stuck in our homes, this is a good way to communicate and know that you are not alone. And, this is the deck that we were dealt. I don't know why we were all given MS, but we were. And so because we need to be positive. We need to make the best of this life that we have. And I'm sure there's days that we don't feel like that, but it is what it is. So I'm going to begin to wrap up and let you know how to contact me because I really would like your feedback. My email is beth@moderndays.com. My website is www.moderndays.com. I'm on Facebook as Modern Day MS. I'm on Twitter as Modern Day MS. I'm on Instagram and Pinterest. All, if you just type in Modern Day MS, it should come up. But please, please, please find somehow to get in touch with me. And your feedback really means everything to me. I want to know what you would like to hear about. I want to know if you have questions. And I really think that through this talking, we could together really heal, hopefully, and feel better about ourselves. We could bounce questions off of each other. And this is a place that is safe. There's no judgment. And I really hope that we can create this beautiful thing with this show. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And future shows, I'm thinking for my next one, I'm going to do an interview. So again, you'll let me know if you prefer an interview or just me rambling. And again, this show just kind of addressed a bunch of different random topics as my first one. I wanted to introduce you to me. But in the future, I think we'll be more direct and specific. And I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for listening. Again, feel free to contact me. Have a wonderful day. Stay positive. Maybe try your yoga breathing. And I look forward to speaking with you all again soon. Namaste and goodbye.